Okay, it looks like we are live. So welcome to Love and Money Secrets TV. I'm your host, Dame Lillian Walker, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about not just the law of attraction, but as a Dr. Joe advanced student, and I have, several mentors, and I'm one of Dr. Joe's proteges, self-professed proteges, and I also have another wonderful mentor who is Don Miguel Ruiz, who is just a beautiful soul and human being, and who I had the honor of not only meeting in person, but him and I were both knighted at the same time. We both acquired the titles of knight. He's a sir and I'm a dame. That's where the title dame comes from. And so that's not really that important. The important or the most significant thing is the two souls having a certain interaction with each other. And I've been very blessed to have these men as mentors in my life. And so I was fortunate enough today to have a wonderful, beautiful conversation with him over FaceTime. And I had some wonderful insights to share with you from that. But also I wanted to talk about there was a gal on one of my Dr. Joe groups that was talking about just, needing money in a hurry. And so I just want to read this real briefly with you because I want to address this. This is something that is pervasive, not just in my field of awareness, but as many of you have needs and wants and desires. I think this is really important that we understand how all of this dovetails together and how it's really all the same thing. And so what she put on the post was, dear friends, for those of you making use of Dr. Joe's meditations for money and abundance, I'm looking for some social proof to help my own skeptical brain release its doubts. I need to see stories from others who've been in the same boat and succeeded. Has anyone ever manifested money to the tune of at least 4 figures, coming to them within a very short period of time to meet an urgent expense? How did you manage the stress hormones and stay focused during the meditations? Also, which meditation did you use? This is another thing that comes up all the time for whatever it is that people want to manifest. Which meditation did you use? I've been on generating abundance and combining it with the perineum to pineal breathing, but I hopped off 2 days ago to test out Botech, which is a fantastic meditation. Botech 1, 2, 3. In fact, I just got Botech 8, which is phenomenal. Got that about 2 months ago, right when Dr. Joe released that. She goes on to say, I ask as I'm likely to be in touch, short for a rent in a week's time as some money. And I need to be counting. Wait a minute. I ask, I'm likely to be a touch short for rent in a week time as some, regarding money. And I've been counting on, as whatever it was she was counting on failed to show up. I freelance and work part-time. Any success stories that you have would be most welcomed. So we have all experienced this shortage or lack of something, whether it's time, money, love, health, well-being. There's something that is not fulfilling itself for whatever reason. So I want to share one story because some of you, we have a 55% divorce rate in this country. So over 55% of people who have been married at any point in time, whether you've been married for a month or whether you've been married for 20, 30, 40 years. I just recently, in one of my Dr. Joe groups, a lady who had been married for 37 years, her husband just last week just filed for divorce and, sprung her with that surprise. So all these things are unwanted things, and they're there for a reason, for you to see something about yourself. It's not just always about the other person. As we become more aware and more in this place of knowing who we truly are and truly loving ourselves and really seeing why the mirror is bringing that into our experience, it becomes more apparent. So let me tell you a little bit about what happened to me. So I had been married for 2 decades. I had not a bad marriage. It wasn't a horrible marriage or anything like that. It was a pretty good marriage and so forth. But as it happens with many of us, we grow apart and we grow into different people. And then there came a point in time where we kind of really didn't have anything to do with each other. And there was no sense in staying in a loveless marriage where we really didn't want to have anything to do with each other. So the best thing was to go our separate ways so that now I'm free to allow that person into my experience who I can share love with, who will be able to receive my love and that I can give my love to, and that we can have this reciprocity going on in this pure expression of love. So as I my divorce came to a close, and then, everything was now separate. I found myself where, oh my gosh, that first Christmas, it was very difficult following the divorce because I walked away with very little money, as a result of that divorce, barely had enough. Just by the skin of my teeth, I had enough to get a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment here in Huntington Beach, which I had to, provide for my daughter and son who were still living at home, even though my daughter was going back and forth between college and here. And my son was still in high school. So now I couldn't afford a 2-bedroom. All I could afford was a 1-bedroom. So like I said, I barely was able to even, pull that off. So Christmas came, and so now I'm going, I'm barely just, kind of rebuilding myself. And I had already, pulled the trigger on certain things professionally, but I wasn't really earning an income at the time. And so things were very, very tight. And I had very little discretionary income at the time. And so one of the things and I was already big into meditating. I've been meditating for, since my 20s. Really heavily, I started in my 30s. So this became something that I now really had to, walk the walk, talk the talk. And then I had to surrender to knowing that everything happens for a reason, because I really believe that, no experience is wasted. Everything is there to show us, teach us, reflect back to us certain things. And so I, lifted up in my meditation and in my quiet time. I was very intentful. It's like, I really wanted to be able to provide beautiful gifts for my children for Christmas. And it's like, okay, one thing was, it's like, okay, this Christmas, I thought maybe I won't be able to give, my mom and dad a gift, my nieces and nephews and so forth, which really, pained me, but it pained me even more to not be able to gift to my own children. I have 3 kids, and I thought, and of course, as a human, we compare, contrast, we want to do the blame thing, but I knew that there was no blaming here. But I thought it did not feel good to me to think that my husband was going to be able to provide and give beautiful gifts to my kids, and that I was not going to be able to provide anything or very little. And so that aspect didn't feel good to me. So I did recognize that I had to be in that pure allowing state, and just to trust that, my God would be able to provide for me in whatever magical way, and whatever needed to be would be. And so not really thinking that I would actually have a material, monetary manifestation, but knowing that there would be somehow a provision. And that I knew that to the degree that I could have the vision in my mind's eye, knowing that it was all done, that the provision, because my vision being clear, that my provision would come to pass, the where, the how, and the why, and the timetable, that's out of my hands. And so I just thought, gee, it would be great to have, an extra $3,000, to do something like that. But at this point, I wasn't even ferreted with a particular dollar amount. I was really more focusing on my being able to provide those beautiful gifts for my kids. And so, as luck would have it, I want to say this was around the second week of December. So it was plenty of time before Christmas. And I happened to be going to my, leaving my office, going to my post office box right here in Newport Beach. And as I went, it was really quite magical, because as I went to my post office box, and it was getting dark, as you know, in December, it's already dark by 6 p.m. And as I looked up into the sky, there was this spectacular anomaly that was taking place that I knew was a sign, because I'd never seen anything like it before. And it really was a supernatural thing. I'm going to have to see if I can pull that image up. I think I even did, I'm not sure. I don't think it was a Facebook Live. I think it was actually a Facebook Live that I did, I think on my other YouTube channel, as a matter of fact, just because that's what it was linked to on my phone at the time. And I just remember seeing this anomalous light, spectacular whirling thing in the sky that was just unfolding. I just happened to come out at that right time. And what was interesting, if you fast forward to minutes before when I was inside, when I had pulled out my mail from my P.O. box, you know, as my good fortune and luck would have it, I had ended up having not one, but I had two unexpected refund checks from the IRS that amounted to $3,000. And I was like, oh, when I opened the first one, you know, I was like bug-eyed. My eyes just were like huge. And I was like, because I didn't expect it to come through the, you know, through in the way of a, you know, refund check. So I was just shocked. I wasn't expecting a refund of any sort. It was just, I didn't know what to expect. I just knew that it was somewhere out there somehow, and that who knows how it would happen. So when I saw that, I was just aghast. And then it was, you know, 4 figures. It was actually, yeah, 4 figures. And then, you know, with change. And then when I opened the second envelope and it was a second check, I was like, oh my gosh. So now it was $3,000. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is Christmas. I'm going to be able to get all sorts of really cool things for my kids. I'll be able to get things for my nephews and niece. I'll be able to get things for my mom, for my dad. I was just like, I had won the lotto, beyond winning the lotto, because that wasn't even on my radar at the time. I was just going to the post office to get my mail. There's some bills there, you know, and whatever media things, books and stuff that, you know, authors send me for, you know, my show. And so I was just, holy cow. So when I went outside, I was already just ebullient, enthusiastic. I was just thrilled. And then I look up in the sky and it was, you could not miss it. It was this spectacular light thing that was going on. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is just another sign of this supernatural thing that was going on. Later, I found out that Elon Musk had launched a satellite. And so that's what all the swirling that we saw in the sky and the light that was just so brilliant there against the backdrop of this perfectly dark sky right off the coast of Newport Beach. And it was just we were at the point like from dusk going into complete darkness. So it was just gorgeous to see. So I immediately called my kids. I told them, it's like, oh my gosh, I just got this unexpected money. So I'm going to be able to, you know, let me know what your Christmas, you know, if there's anything you want to update on them. And so that came to pass, and that was like phenomenal. So since then, I've had so many more manifestations and incredible signs, symbols, and synchronicity. But I wanted to share with you that story because that was a smaller amount of money that was really significant, which, you know, everything is relative. When you're just making ends meet and you are in that type of predicament, you know, that was a large sum of money that made a huge difference, because that was discretionary funds that I had, not only, you know, because my rent was already paid, it was just barely paid, but it was paid. And, you know, I barely covered, you know, my expenses. I was very, you know, exacting, and knock on wood, I still to this day, I don't have any debt. I don't have any revolving cards with a balance that I carry over. Everything is, you know, I have always been a good saver. So that aspect is good. So thank goodness I didn't have the burden of debt, but I did have, you know, at the time, it was a burden to just try and make my ends meet at that time. And now it was like huge sigh of relief. And so I knew that that was a sign of also more things to come. I also knew that the number 3, I know that, you know, 5 is the number of grace, which is a very significant number for me, but 3 is a number of sanctification. If you look at in the teachings of Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, it teaches us that the numbers 1 through 9, you know, and then you go back to 10 or 0, which is 1 plus 0. There's a number of completion, new beginnings, etc. Well, number 3 is a number of the Trinity. Anything that is triple is sanctified or made, you know, infinite. So the fact that I had, you know, $3,000 at that time was just huge. And of course, the 2 checks that I had were riddled with 5s that added up to a 3, the 3,000. So I thought it was like, oh my gosh, this is like so cool. So that was really quite spectacular. So now let's fast forward, because good things happen to great people and bad things happen to great people. So right as my divorce was finalized, I have, some of you know of the story. I don't think I've given the whole entire story, but I've given bits and pieces of the story where the same month that my divorce, I was receiving my final divorce decree, and I was finally having my divorce finalized and all that kind of good stuff. I get hit by a bus, no less. As I was completing a 16-mile ride, I was just 3 blocks, literally 3 blocks from home. And I end up flying over my bike. I get hit from behind, didn't know at first what hit me. And I landed on the sidewalk, traumatic brain injury, neck injury, back injury, leg injury, completely miserable. Luckily, I didn't break any bones, but I broke a lot of things inside. It was just not a good thing. So I'm like, oh my gosh, finally I'm getting free of this marriage. Finally, getting ready, I'm like able to close a chapter of this life and now move on to the next. And now I've got this to contend with. That comes with all of its own inherent, challenges, obstacles, things to overcome. And, rather than ask, I did ask at the beginning, it's like, I remember being very distinctly in the ambulance going, why is this happening to me? Which is the wrong question to be. And I knew that I should not be asking why, but my humanity came out and I told the paramedic, it's like, why is this happening to me? This was just like, I'm like, I couldn't believe it, because my day, I had been having such a spectacular day. From the moment I wake up till that happened, my day had unfolded beautifully. I was high vibing. I was in this great, place. I had gotten a great deal on a wetsuit, a spring suit, as a matter of fact. I mean, it was just a great bike ride. Everything was really lining up for me. And I didn't know that that was part of putting me into putting me into a different place where I would be coming into contact with different people, places, things, experiences, etc. But that's part of why that was supposed to be. And so that is just here to tell you that, to answer this person in my Dr. Joe Facebook group, the meditation group, is that yes, there are plenty of people who have manifested all sorts of abundance manifestations. She's looking at rent being due in the next week. And of course, that looks dire and you don't know when, you don't know how. And of course, you're getting that vibration. Your body is starting to get anxious and nervous. Your brain is, the memory of not enoughness, of worry, of hurry, of it's like if A happens, then B happens, then C, and it's like a cascade of negative things that can happen if you don't fulfill this, that, blah, blah, blah. And you go down the rabbit hole of all the negative things that can happen to you, which is really the wrong direction for us to go in. But when we don't know, we don't know. So one of the things that when I owned an Exit Beach Cities Realty, an Exit Realty International franchise, and I was the broker for Huntington Beach and Newport Beach as well. And I also had First Pacific Mortgage. And one of the things that when I taught and trained agents and brokers was that I would tell them in that lifetime that, we don't know what we don't know until we know it. I'm going to say that again. We don't know what we don't know until we know it. Because once we know it, something has brought that into our field of awareness, where now we become aware of whatever that issue is. And as we become aware of what that issue is, then sometimes that's enough to dissolve that energy so that that energy no longer has a hold on us. And now we see things with new eyes. And so you've heard me say before that when you think about things differently, things appear differently about how you think. So it's like what precedes the other. It's like really your thoughts are what precede everything. It's the image, your I, as in your I, and as in you, how you image in your mind's eye your thoughts, which project out what you actually experience in 3D. And so as you become aware and you begin to realize and understand and recognize that these things are happening on purpose, on time, as a reflection back to you, then you can start to put your hands on the steering wheel of your life so that you can navigate more of to where you want as opposed to where you don't want. And as you guys who have been on my channel or any of my Facebook Lives for any amount of time, you know that I always refer to the left, because of our left thinking brain is the analytical, critical judgment, critical, our memories. That's the seat and the root of our emotions, especially our negative emotions, are stored as a fragment in our memory, in our limbic brain, which is the edge of our brain. And our right side is that where we have more of a spatial, unlimited recognition, the seat of our consciousness. Our creative side, that's where we direct our blood flow so that we can connect in 5D quantum into the all. And so the unwanted is to the left. And so when you look at what you don't want and you continue to give your conscious awareness, which it's like a floodlight, you take your conscious awareness, which is like a floodlight. Now you focus it like a laser beam. And as you focus more and more and more to what you don't want, whatever you give your attention and focus to expands and it grows and it gets bigger and it gets bigger and it feels worse. And it's like, you don't like that. No bueno. So instead, you take your focus and your attention to, and again, that's your steering wheel. You're going to take your focus and your attention to and focus to the right. Oh my gosh. Over here, what a beautiful sunset. These are beautiful things that I like, that I want, that I aspire to have, to be, to do, to have, to experience with. And I like what I see over here far more than what I see over here. So that's what it means to turn the other cheek. Instead of what you don't want, you do a 180 and you go to what you do want. So instead of it's part of asking more effective questions, which I've heard about this for years and years and years. But the thing is, how do I apply it in my life in all things, not just business, not just these certain aspects, but how do I do it as an entire holistic, integrated being that's living from a heart-centered space? Because that was something that I made a conscientious, aware choice back in 2012. I didn't know how to do it, but I knew that I had to live my life with an open heart and to totally and completely and fully embrace self-love. And so as I became aware, and I started with not really knowing how and just making the decision. And the moment I made the decision, everything began to change, to transmute, to morph, to dovetail and meld into, I'm nowhere close to being done. I'm still in progress, and I really do believe that until I shake off this meat suit, which my parents at birth decided to name Lillian, that I will be in this process until I go, into the grave, until I go back into the energy of the earth, buried, and then continue on then just as a spirit. And so as we move forward, once we know better, we do better. As we have more insights, as we embrace more of who we truly are, which is, I keep on saying, love is the answer. Back in 2000, I think it was 16 or 17, I was at a pre-Grammy Awards show where we were on stage, and I was talking we were giving a Lifetime Achievement Award to Quincy Jones, and I was also on stage with a wonderful friend of mine who is Tracy Lee Hazard of Inc. magazine. And when they, gave me the mic, one of the things that Greg Reed, who's the author of Chapter 3 of the Napoleon Hill book, 3 Feet from Gold, which is a really great book, he asked about, the secrets to success and so forth, because my radio show, the Bottom Line Show Live, had to do with the secrets to success. And I said, really, the only reason why any of us are here in any way, shape, or form, whether we realize it or not, is for love, because love is the answer. And I knew that at that time when I said that, because I have a different understanding And I know that this is a perpetual progression that will happen until I take my last breath. But love really is the answer. And we are only here to love, to be love. So I am love. You are love. Love is the answer because we are all love, and we are to express love. We are to receive love unconditionally without a whole list of requirements. None of this, if you love me. No, that's not part of my vote. Actually, that's never been part of my vocabulary, but a lot of people, that is part of their vocabulary. Well, if you loved me, or if you love me, you will. And that's a condition saying that I will only love you if you do, if you have this behavioral pattern, if you behave in this way, if you act, or if you do this for me. And really, you are love. I am love. So as being in this moment in time, where there is no such thing as time, all we have is now. There is no past, there is no future. There just is this moment, which is fleeting. But right now, I am the embodiment of love, as are you. And so you and I have co-created this moment. So I'm really speaking to you, and you are speaking to me. We are facets of love. I equate it to like a disco ball. And, you look at a disco ball, and it's so awesome because you get a disco ball. And when you have light that's shining on a disco ball, every little mirror that's on that disco ball reflects light all over this 360-degree realm in which we're in. It doesn't matter what the shape of the room is. It could be pyramid shaped, it could be a box shaped, it could have a cathedral ceiling, combination of both. It could be a sphere shape, doesn't matter. But 360-degree, you being at the center of it all, you're, as Dr. Joe would say, you're the center of the magnet, because it's you, your heart. You're reflecting all this light, and you are a reflection of that love into your environment. So at any point in time, whatever it is that you are seeking, whatever you are, you're reflecting back to you. And that's why only the people who resonate with this message are going to see this video, whether it's right now in real time as of this live broadcast, or if it is at a later point in time, you see it later, it doesn't matter. It's all really in now, in real time. My dear friend, Serena, who is Serena Dyer Pisoni, who her father was Wayne Dyer, and the late Wayne Dyer, which it's so interesting because he passed away not too long ago, as many of you are aware. And he was another one who's been my mentor for years and years and years, most of my adult life. And even though he's gone, to me, his spirit obviously will always be alive, but the videos, the television shows, I don't really watch TV anymore, but in the old days, I used to watch them on TV. And then, probably for the last, 15 years, it's been primarily on video. And it's as real to me today as if he were still alive and I would be able to pick up the phone and talk to him. And he's kept alive, and he has that legacy, luckily, that he was able to record and share with us through the wonder and the magic of technology. We have these videos, which are really a reflection to you and to me of really how our inner eye works, because really none of this is real. None of this is true. If any of you have read any of Don Miguel Ruiz's books, and he talks about the Toltec art of wisdom and about how the Nawals and how they talk about the veil of illusion and about how everything is a reflection and being reflected back to us, and how this world, there is the world that we perceive to be true, and then there is our inner truths. And I really believe that to the level to which we are attached to certain truths and to how we think about certain things, that will be the degree to which we suffer or don't suffer, because suffering is optional. And I say that really with a lot of sincerity and truth to you, because I know the pain of losing a child. I lost my first child, which I rarely talk about. And my kids will even tell you, I'm not even 100% sure. I think they know that they had a sibling prior to my oldest son, Kyle. But I didn't harp on it quite a bit because I'm so happy and grateful for them, being whole and complete. And those didn't come without challenges either. The friends that I had that were closest to me were very aware of how challenging it was for me to have those 3 kids. Another thing that I don't talk a lot about, and I probably will start talking more and more about those things, because I've realized and recognized that as I share more of that aspect of some of those things, people are able to relate to me better, and not so much about them relating to me, but really how that helps them put things in perspective in their lives so that they can make sense of what it is that they're going through and come out the other side knowing that they're not alone. They're not the only one who's endured that strife, that challenge, that sadness, that grief, because there is a lot of grief. There's a sorrow when you lose a child. Every October, I'm very aware that my child would have been another year older, mid-October of every year. So that's a stark, true reality, to me. And so, but the truth is that child is not here. And so that child passed. And so that being said, the risk of the next pregnancy, which was my oldest son, Kyle, it was very real, the potential of, losing him. And so I had that entire pregnancy where it was, I don't want to say it was a struggle, because it wasn't a struggle, but I just had this place of inner knowing that nothing was going to take him away, even though the medical proof was showing otherwise. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump that microphone. But the truth was that I was at risk of losing my second child. And so that second child ended up arriving 2 months early, despite all the medical intervention that I had, which was a lot. I had quite a bit of medical intervention, and then he was 2 months early. And so rather than go through all 3, I'm just going to tell you all 3 of my children were 2 months early. They were all born at 33 weeks. And so we were successful in them being born, and we were unsuccessful in having it be a full-term pregnancy, despite every medical intervention known to mankind. It should have, my obstetrician, the perinatologist, the neonatologist, all of them were all concurring that I should have been, especially with Kyle, I should have been able to have gone full term. We later found out some reasons why physiologically, for those of you who know me in person, that I'm not a big girl. I am 5'1". I'm about 103 or 4 pounds. I'm not a large person physically. My spirit is big, but my container is small. So, and that's just my reality. My mother's about the same size, but my mom had 3 kids and her kids were all full term. So I don't know why I was put through those challenges. And actually, I have kind of a little bit more of a notion why. I know some of it was to slow me down because, I was going at 150 miles an hour in my businesses, yada, 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 typical A personality type, which I consider myself a recovered A personality type, if you can believe that. I'm not that, I don't have that compulsiveness that's pushing me from behind, driving me. I'm now more kind of with willful intent, using my consciousness, and I'm living a completely different life than how I used to live before. And I was extremely successful in that life. I made a lot of money. I had a great deal of success in that field. Always in the shadows, I had the health and the well-being and the healing modalities kind of always in the closet. And then that finally, I had to just shed all notions of, even though I had been doing medicine since, I don't want to say medicine, because I started as an emergency med tech, was pre-med bio when I was at USC. worked for a private ambulance company, worked in an emergency room, yada, 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 and then studied under a lot of different masters. Didn't go to medical school, but I did get a lot of clinical certifications, which I have a whole bunch of them. I don't know, I've never bothered to count. And I had my business partner one time tell me when it came to awards and, because again, a personality type, you got to win that trophy, you got to win that award, blah, blah, blah. He said, you should count. I'm like, well, who cares? What difference does it make? It's all irrelevant. Nobody really cares because I really don't care. What I care is about gaining the knowledge, gaining the wisdom, and then being able to apply it. That's, to me, that's like the main thing. But that is really what was more important to me and still is more important to me. But the bottom line is this: it's like we all come here with a unique perspective. And I'm going to be keeping this, we're going to be closing here pretty soon at 7:45, and we started at 7:07. So this is not meant to be a long broadcast, but I want to get to the point where I want to commit to you guys where I'm going to come on here every day and do, even if it's a short video, giving you whatever insights, because I really am getting these daily insights. And as I'm more open and more vulnerable, sharing, some of those things that were challenges. Like I said, my 3 high risk they were short-term pregnancies because they all went short. They weren't full term. I had preterm labor, how I managed that, and the challenges with all of that. And then how did I manage, the challenge of being hit by a bus and having a traumatic brain injury, and as someone who absolutely loves and adores to not only to read, but to learn and to study and to acquire more information, more knowledge, and then to apply it, and then to not be able to read, and then to not be able to think because of the traumatic brain injury. And then the feeling of my ego, it's like, oh, I can't let anybody know that I have this brain scan now that evidences that I had a traumatic brain injury. And the irony of, me doing these films and documentaries, which I ended up doing a documentary with the amazing 3-time Grammy Award-winning producer, director, writer, Jerry Sher. And I was on the team that we dealt with Dr. Daniel Amen. We actually filmed, and, I was able to take film, and I was able to take pictures, and it was just amazing to be part of that. And now we've won 12 film awards, and I was still drudging around this thing with kind of hiding the fact that I had this traumatic brain injury. Yet Dr. Daniel Amen himself, his team, they scanned my brain. So they have all the documentation to this day, still have it actually on this laptop. So, but I didn't want anybody to know, because it's kind of like, not that I knew I wasn't perfect before, but now it's like, ooh, damaged goods. Then luckily I was able to heal that. And thanks to the teachings with Dr. Joe, another incredible mentor, who is probably the most brilliant, and mark my words, make no mistakes, I know that sooner rather than later, he is going to be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for his incredible, illustrious, of biblical proportions, the results that we're seeing every time we go to his advanced events, whether it's a 7-day advanced event or an AFU. We witness people that were either born deaf or lost their hearing due to some sort of trauma. We see people with multiple tumors who go into remission, people who are in wheelchairs, who are unable to walk, either as a result of an accident where they suffered a trauma, or due to some sort of disease that slowly took away their ability to walk. Or, I'll never forget the first 7-day advanced event that I went to in Cancun. Sal, I remember how, I didn't know what his condition was. I just remember looking to my left, and he was wearing yellow shorts, and he was he was sitting next to me, but then he was laying down on the aisle that was closest to the wall, and he could not lay down flat. And later, when he went to give up his story on stage, Dr. Joe called him up. First of all, I realized he's not an old guy. I'm like, he's actually a fairly young guy, but until his healing, he looked like an old man because he was hunched over, because he had broken his back, and I think it was like 3 places. He was a triathlete, and part of this event was he parachuted And as a skydiver, he parachuted and his parachute did not, it didn't work properly. And so his parachute ended up getting stuck on some trees, and he ended up breaking his back. And an Indian in, I'm not sure if it was Peru or Nicaragua, something like that. If you look up on YouTube, just look up on YouTube, or if you go to Love and Money Secrets TV, if you go under my playlists and then you click the little arrow below, it'll show you all the different playlists. It'll show you the back injuries, everybody who's suffered a back injury who is healed. I have basically Dr. Joe's testimonials all categorized by whatever it was that they were healed from: breast cancer, cervical cancer, throat cancer, you name it, back injury, brain tumors, you name it. And so that was really remarkable to witness. And so one of the things that you'll discover as you understand and become more aware of Dr. Joe's teachings, and I don't get any financial remuneration from Dr. Joe or from anyone else who I've mentioned here. If I have a show sponsor, I will let you know. But right now, for this particular broadcast, there aren't any. But this is just to let you know that he dovetails neuroscience, neuropsychology, neuroendocrinology. He is a neuroscientist. He has advanced degrees in genetics, chemistry, et cetera. In addition to his initial medical degree was in chiropractics, and then he continued to get advanced medical degrees. Still to this day, he measures everything. How do we know what we know? Is because they'll tell you, because he measured it. So he measures the brain waves. He's got over 9,000 brain scans to date, Dr. Joe himself and his team. He has a team of medical researchers at the University of, UCSD in San Diego, who have a wonderful, wonderful body of data that they've measured. Just go to Dr. Joe's site. You can check it out. You can see under scientific studies. Watch the videos. It's there for you to learn and to grow and to glean and to know that there are infinite realms of possibilities for you. So I'm going to reference you since we talked about abundance and the law of attraction and the law of expectation, you've obviously attracted this video into your experience. And so that's wonderful. This is obviously resonating with you. So I want to encourage you to check out how Tomas manifested 100K. He actually manifested a lot more than 100K, but the last large amount that he manifested was 100K. So there were smaller amounts that were actually pretty big. I don't want to spoil it for you. So watch that video here on Love and Money Secrets TV, how Tomas manifested 100K. And then there's a gal that I'm going to bring your attention to. Her name is, I believe it was Marie or Maria. And she manifested, I believe, oh no, it wasn't. I wanted to tell you, she just manifested $500,000. Gosh, I'm going to have to, wasn't expecting to talk about Maria's manifestation, but she has an amazing story because she manifested multiple times different amounts of money. And this just happened in a very recent, here's another person who manifested. She asked the divine, I'm going to share this with you guys because I think this is another cool manifestation. Let me see if I can get you. Oh, it's showing backwards here. Okay, so let me read it to you. And can you see the ring there? So she manifested this ring and she said, do you remember Dr. Joe's story about manifesting a loaf of bread? And I have on my channel also, Dr. Joe's story, Dr. Joe bread story, and how I manifested a Wi-Fi extender just a couple weeks ago. So here she's talking about the same story about the loaf of bread out of thin air. I was thinking about that story and wanted to manifest something out of thin air. I went to bed last night and did a meditation. Pay close attention because this is for you. I went to bed last night and I did a meditation on maybe finding a diamond or ring during my morning walk. When I sat down to do my morning meditation, I saw something shiny underneath my bar stool. It was this beautiful ring pictured here. And she says here, picture doesn't do it justice, which fit my finger perfectly. I was 2 feet away from the bar stool exercising on my yoga mat last night. There was nothing there. To be honest, I was a little scared at first. I live by myself and my first thought was, did something enter my home last night? Ha ha ha. I checked the front door and everything is still locked. and secure. I have been meditating off and on for years, but I have not been consistent lately because some of the things I wanted to manifest hasn't occurred. This is a beautiful reminder that meditation works and to keep doing the work. Blessings to you all. And so there's a picture of her manifesting that ring. So that's the manifestation of the ring. I want to show you the gal. If you go to Dr. Joe's YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the one of this gal who manifested $500,000. And she tells you that she wanted to manifest it at a recent Dr. Joe advanced event. I think she was at the Orlando event, which I was at in April. And I just want to show you her picture so that you can see what she looks like, so that when you go to the Dr. Joe, when you go, there it is. I'm sorry, it's not Maria. I stand corrected. It was Michelle, so it's an M name. So it says Stories of Transformation, and there she is. Her name is Michelle. So just look her up on Dr. Joe's. If you look under Money Manifestations playlist under 11 Money Secrets TV, you will see Michelle's awesome video. And it was really cool to hear how, as she was manifesting things, how she's calling her husband and letting him know, or her husband would also call her and let her know of what she was manifesting or what had arrived. Such an exciting, very cool video. And so these are the things that you want to put your focus and attention on, because it feels good. It gives you encouragement. It gives you upliftment. It gives you joy. When you see the sincerity with which Michelle, she's telling how excited, just like I'm so excited here with you because I've manifested all these cool things. I gotta show you. Let me pull my Wi-Fi extender. When I did the video, which was just like a week or not even 10 days ago, when I did that video, I had just opened up the box for this thing. So I was still learning the name of this gadget is Wi-Fi range extender. So I kept on having to look at the box that was over here and read it, because it's like, it's a Wi-Fi range extender, because I didn't know what that gadget was. I'm not right now in this location. I don't need it as much. Probably still should plug it in, huh? But anyhow, it's not plugged in. So I'm just going to show it to you right now. So here is the Wi-Fi range extender, which I manifested out of the blue. There's a box. And so what I want to say to you is, don't always rely on exterior things. So a common thing that I see all the time in the many groups I am in, including the Dr. Joe meditation group, the Leaving the Monastery group, etc., is people ask us like, what meditation did you use? And so I didn't use a specific meditation for this. I used Dr. Joe's formula. So now you guys are going to go asking, what's the formula? Well, I've done videos on my channel before on the formula. I'm going to give you a step-by-step, because I normally rattle it off, but sometimes people don't have a clear they just don't have clarity about it. Sometimes I hear, sometimes because of the vibrational frequency that you're at, sometimes you just can't hear it. So I actually, this last time, somebody else asked again about the formula. So I did it by bullet points, and I just wrote 1, 2, 3, which I had never done before. Normally I just tell you what the formula is. So I'm going to just read it off here to you guys. And then somebody asked me to text it to them. So I'll put it in the description, and I'll probably do a video. And Dr. Joe has a teaching on this called The Formula. Go to his website. It's already done. So it's a wonderful, beautiful course, especially for people who are more beginners or somebody who wants to really wrap their arms around his teaching on the formula. But it's 1, close your eyes. So first step is close your eyes. 2, roll your eyeballs up to dip into theta. Dr. Joe doesn't tell you to roll your eyeballs up, but I know that from all the different modalities that I've learned and that I've been taught and trained and mentored by, that automatically puts you into theta state. So why not do it? So 2, roll eyeballs up into theta. 3, slow down your breath. 4, slow down your heart rate. 5, slow down your brain waves. And you're just telling yourself, in your inner mind's eye. And as you speak to yourself, you're saying, slow down my breath, slow down my heart, slow down my breath. Breath, heart, brain. BR, breath, heart, brain. So you're doing that. Then you're going to set your clear intention, which my clear intention wasn't a Wi-Fi range extender. It was to have stronger bandwidth so that during broadcasts like these, my connection wouldn't drop. That was my intention. This was the result, but because I didn't even know what this was called. I didn't know that this existed. My intention was to have a strong signal like I'm having right now. And then that evening, this popped up, which was kind of wild. You'll have to watch the video on that. So clear intention, that's number 6. So clear intention, have in your mind's eye the end result of what you want, like a mini video clip experiencing what you want in your mind's eye. So you see it like a little video in your head. So it's like a mind movie that's inside your head, not outside of you. Then 7, you're going to feel the elevated emotion. So many of my videos, like recently with Patrick Farrell, clear intention, my right hand, with an elevated emotion. That's the formula, clear intention with an elevated emotion. Then you're going to upload it like you upload your order to Amazon, but you're uploading it to 5D. Then you let it go. Doesn't matter if your eyes are open or closed. When you first do this, you're going to have to do it with your eyes closed. And here is where I think Dr. Joe is so brilliant. And I think if you have any kind of degree of training in Tai Chi and Qigong, because as you know, Tai Chi and Qigong, those are walking meditations. So Dr. Joe gets us to do it, everything, with your eyes closed. And then he has us do walking meditations outside on the beach, right? So now you're staying in that theta brainwave zone with your eyes open. So that's training you so that when you have outside circumstances in your life present itself, you can, with your eyes still open, you can slow down your breath, slow down your heart rate, slow down your brain waves, marry a clear intention with an elevated emotion, see that in the motion picture screen of your mind's eye, then you feel that love, you feel that appreciation, that gratitude, then you let it go. When you know that you've got it, you've let it go, it's uploaded to 5D, and then you're like in enthusiasm and exuberance. You don't know when, you don't know how, and it doesn't matter. There's a double entendre there. It doesn't matter. Matter to matter doesn't matter, because you took the matter the way it is now, and by doing that formula, you took matter and turned it back into waveforms of energy. That's what we've learned in quantum physics, that the potential waveforms of energy, as you put your focus and intention on those waveforms of energy, the particles start to accumulate and they start to get together and they get to a critical mass where now, boom, it pops into your 3D. That's how this was manifested. That's how Michelle manifested the 500K. That's how I manifested the 3K that December, several Decembers, not too long ago. That's how everything is coming into being. Oftentimes we're giving the elevated emotion of anger, of frustration, of fear, of worry, of hurry, of lack, of what we don't want, so that more and more particles start giving you more and more evidence of that. So that's why you have to turn the other cheek to what you do want. It's like, no, yes, I'm going to deny, I'm going to starve that of energy, because that's not what I want. I don't want that. I don't want to have a vaccine passport. So that's not on my radar. My passport as it is, it's totally fine. I'm able to travel anywhere in the world that I want. With that, I get all the exceptions. I have all the connections. I have all, and when I mean connections, I'm not talking about 3D connections. The 5D connection, the connection that you have with yourself in 5D, that is the connection that you need. And then as you embrace more of that love, that is the answer, because you're staying in pure love without the conditions having to be any particular way in order for you to be happy, in order for you to feel. And that's how we were as babies. When you were first born, you didn't need a reason to be happy. You just were happy. You were loved. everything was provided for. You were in a pure state of joy, of pure love. And then little by little, society, your parents, your family, your teachers, your neighbors, your neighborhood kids, and friends, and etc. All of it started chipping away at your original programming. And then you had this new paradigm of thinking how things needed to be, and in order to be loved and in order to whatever, then you had to fall into these certain boxes. And then you got away farther and farther from who you truly are, which is really love. So I have all these notes that I took today while I was during a FaceTime that I had with my beautiful mentor, Don Miguel Ruiz. And we're going to have him on over the next few months. We're in the midst of booking 3 shows with him. We're going to be talking about his books. So excited about this. He has one book that is called The 3 Questions. And these are mystery school books. Then he's got another book called The Actor. And then a third book that is called The Eros. As you know, Eros is one of the forms of love, right? And so we are going to be unpacking and unveiling all the juicy truths and goodness and knowledge that are just here to make you aware and have you realize, recognize, and understand these things that are inside you already. And so before you hit that subscribe button, before you hit that like, I want you to allow yourself to feel how good your heart feels, how you are truly loved, that your heart is beating to the tune of you, and that none of this really matters. All that matters is love. Love is the answer. And as you love yourself more and more, and you choose to love in a state of love and being love, and recognizing I am love, as you recognize that you are love, that you came here to love and to be love and to give love and to receive love, that love is the answer. And that how things will not only be attracted to you because of that, because you are in that pure state of love, but you now have an expectation of all this goodness, which is your divine birthright, that comes to you. It's that the law of expectation, which is really connected to the law of attraction. And if you're not aware of that, that might be part of the piece of the puzzle that is missing for you. Neville Goddard, another wonderful mentor, who's no longer with us, who's joined the ranks of, Wayne Dyer and so forth. And the late Burt Goldman, who, passed away recently as well and lived here in Palm Springs, not too far from me. These are universal truths that we hold for any human being that's on the planet. So that's it. It is 8:07, a full hour. I thought this was going to be 15 to 30 minutes tops. It's 8:08. Oh my gosh, that's my life path number. So I will leave you, my friends and gems. Thank you for tuning in, turning on, tapping into Love and Money Secrets TV. I am just so glad that you're here right now. And if it's just one person watching this right now, this was meant for you. Ciao for now, my friends and gems. And as always, I love you.